Hello, hello. Welcome everybody to this fine Tuesday afternoon, March 17th. Um, Coalition call of Move to Amend. My name is Jenny Spanos. I know all of you, so that's a good thing. It's good to see you all here, and I hope you're all doing well. Do a quick icebreaker, I guess. Name somebody famous or personal who embodies um, democratic ideals that you care about in one sentence and why. For example, my mom, for me, she would be one. She's, although I'm a peace activist and a conscientious objector, she joined the military when I was very young. She was one of the few women allowed to join the military um, with children as a single parent. And her hope was to escape poverty because that's, where they do their best recruiting, right? In very poor communities. And now I'm her caregiver who, um, because after participating in the Second Gulf War, when she was in Saudi Arabia, when they were blowing up all of the chemical plants and the oil refineries and all of that, the skies went dark and she came home with all kinds of different things manifesting in cancers, deteriorating joints, COPD, and a bunch of other crazy stuff that she's still dealing with today. But she still goes out and protests with me when she feels up to it. And, you know, part of Veterans for Peace now and things like that. So she's always just kind of been my North Star in importance of how important all of us can be in fighting for real democracy, whether it's, non-violently or not. So that's mine. If anybody else would like to, or they could drop it in the chat if they prefer. But would anybody else like to go? And again, a famous person or personal who embodies the democratic ideals that you care about in one sentence. I kind of did a whole like background, but
Hey, I'll go. This is Chuck Podgorski, Atlanta group. Um, I when you first asked the question, I was thinking of somebody, some politician or so. But since you talk about your mom, I will say my parents as well. Just the 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 fairness they had, the morality that they innately, they got from their parents about what's right, what's wrong, how to treat one another. Don't judge a book by its cover. Do unto others. Golden rule. All those wonderful things. And that's certainly has had its impact on me, and it gives me focus today. So thank you for sharing that part.
thank you, Jeff. Thank you for sharing.
Stack Lawrence.
Hey, Lawrence.
Yeah, so as long as we're on a theme about parents, I'd have to say my parents too. My parents are both immigrants. My dad from Colombia, South America, from Bogota, and my mom from Germany. And my dad got on a boat, a cruise boat, as a laborer, and then jumped ship in the United States and joined the Air Force to become a citizen. And that was a legal pathway to citizenship back then. And then he met my mom in Germany after World War II. And my dad went to UC Berkeley in political science. Ultimately, he wanted to be president of the United States, which probably wouldn't have worked coming from Colombia. But he spent his whole life trying to change the Constitution, realizing that our systemic problems were in the Constitution, and he wrote an alternative Constitution. And my mom listened to KGO radio, which was a talk show that let me hear the voices of people that call in and the hosts all over the political spectrum as a child. And I grew up with that, with the combination of learning from the radio and from my parents. So pretty awesome. Pass.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Lawrence. Sue?
I was tempted to take my hand down because the person I was going to bring up it's not a very thoughtful thought, but I haven't followed Pete Buttigieg very closely at all. But someone sent me a little YouTube thing of him that's really well worded and really catchy. And I don't know if this is common knowledge, but I've been just so much wanting Bernie to come out and say something besides get money out of politics, to actually say the words constitutional amendment. So I was just being cranky about that again with a friend, and she sent me this Pete Buttigieg little blurb. And he has, I think, a really cool way of saying how easy it would be to have a constitutional amendment. So I'll put it in I'll find the link and I'll put it in the chat. Well, anyhow, I'll just say what he says. He says it better than this. He says, well, they say blah, 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 and you can't get a constitutional amendment. But look at this. This is the country that put a constitutional amendment in to say you couldn't get a beer. And then it turned around and said that you could. And if we can do it for that, we can do it for something really important. So I don't know. I just think he said it well. And it's hard to find a little blurb that nails it. So thanks. I really admire everything you other people have said, though.
Thank you. Alfonso dropped the clip into the chat for anybody who wants to see it later, but we'll also
Oh, that's right. I sent
put it in the
you.
agenda so you can look at it later.
Oh, okay.
I see your hand, Anne and Michael.
Yeah, I would like to well, I was first introduced to Move to Amend by Eitan Fenson, who is past, I think probably 5 years now. I don't know. He was a huge proponent, and he spent an enormous amount of time with us under his wing, explaining all of the, and the idiosyncrasies and intricacies of this, the importance of this amendment, and also all of the history that I never studied when I was in school. So to Eitan, I think there are a couple people here who knew him. Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Anne. And yeah, I don't think they taught this in history. That's part of it, right? All the stuff they didn't teach you in history. Michael and then Mark.
Yes, thank you. I've got to say, Greg Coleridge, I have worked with Greg since 2001 or two, where he introduced me first to corporate personhood and what things going on when he was part of POCLAD. I'm not sure how many of you know that. I don't think Greg's on the call yet. Maybe he is. But I've followed her, worked with him ever since then, coming in to Move to Amend in 2011, I guess, when that happened. And then Greg was always there. Things are going up and down with Move to Amend. The principle of it is something that he believes strongly in, as I do. The necessity of not just having revision or removal of Citizens United, but if we don't get rid of corporate personhood, it doesn't really matter. So he and I have talked about this quite often, and I have some frustrations with the fact that Move to Amend is not going along further, and I understand fully why we aren't further along than the 550,000 or so signatures we've had for about 10 years, I think. But it is still the only thing I know of anywhere that could make a change and has the possibility of making a change if we can get visibility, which we don't have, and support from politicians who, for the most part, even amongst our signatories of the HRJ, don't talk about Move to Amend in their publicity. So Greg pushes, he's talked at national groups and brought it out, and people say, yeah, that's great, but I'm doing this. And that's That's sad, but Greg sticks with it, and I have a tremendous amount of admiration for him. Thanks for allowing me to share that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think everybody in here who knows Greg feels the same way. I met him in the movement, but I would have definitely come to the movement after meeting him and hearing him talk. So I can't agree more with you there. He is a stalwart, solid foundation of Move to Amend. Mark and then Katie.
Um, my, I guess he's a hero of mine, and not a lot of people know about him. But Father Roy Bourgeois, he founded the School of the Americas Watch. That you may know better than Father Roy, but anyway, he was a man of deep principle. He served as a Marianal missionary in Latin America and had his eyes opened. He said he was much more frightened when he was in El Salvador than he had ever been when he served in the U.S. Navy on land in Vietnam. And at any rate, he realized that the United States corporate interests, which were then U.S. interests, were the source of the suffering of the people of Latin America. And he he started the School of the Americas Watch. And anyway, he he's a person of tremendous integrity and stood up for democratic values, which he did not see in the United States behavior toward its in its foreign policy. So with that, I'll pass. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for that. And the School America Watch, I went to some actions in Atlanta for that before, and it's some of the most powerful actions I've ever been to. The solemn honesty portrayal, just absolutely amazing. And I think he was speaking at that.
Mhm.
Thanks for sharing, Katie. You're on mute.
I've been really blessed to have incredible people my whole life. My mom, as you had said, Jenny, she has been an incredible single mother with such integrity. And but I have to say, I put in the chat, my friend Jenny came to mind first, and it really extends to the whole entire Move to Amend family. I could not be going through all of this without you all. Greg, I ditto all that, second all that. But to see people get up and work every single day as hard as they do and keep a smile on their face and support you when you need help and the feelings mutual. If someone needs someone to step in their place, I'm happy to do that. um, I feel your concerns too, Michael. I don't understand why there's not more people here doing this work. I feel like it's the most important work that's happening in the nation. So keep on doing it. We like I said, if everybody knew how amazing it was to be in the space, it would we would, triple our numbers at least.
Thank you for that, Katie. Thank you all for sharing. I think it's really important that we ground ourselves when we can in um, what we admire and what we aspire to, and we see in others, what gives us hope, as Katie was talking about, and grounds us in the work that we're on. We're in this on this journey with real people, as Barbara Girton would say, and like Katie was talking about, I couldn't be more honored to be on this journey with all of you. So as we move into the next portion of the agenda, the affiliate updates, of course, this is my most exciting part of the whole call. What have y'all been up to? Tell us what's going on in your world. How is participating in democracy manifesting with you? How are you moving this work forward? And or anything else you would like to share? Open stack. Deb, I've been seeing some of your work. Go ahead.
Did you call on me or somebody else?
Yes, I called on you.
Okay. Okay. I'm Deb Hogshead with Move to Amend Miami County in Troy, Ohio. And this month, in fact, just last week, we initiated our Pledge to Amend campaign. We have contacted 37 candidates across 10 contested primary races. We've already we've already had 3 responses from candidates. And the running mate of a libertarian candidate running for office wants to meet with me next week to discuss how he can be more of a champion for Move to Amend. So that's the highlight of what we've done this month, in addition to showing up at all the different resistance rallies. Pass.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's why I said I've seen the work you've been doing because the pledges are starting to roll in. You got another one today, by the way. So well done, Heaven. And then I see your hand, Michael.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I
Good.
can.
So I have some encouraging and I think pretty significant news from Alaska. Since our last teleconference, I've discovered that there's a representative in the Alaska State Legislature, which is currently in session, who has introduced a proposed constitutional amendment to the Alaska Constitution. That amendment would do 2 things. One is it would specify and clearly identify that corporations do not have any constitutional rights under the Alaska State Constitution. And secondly, it would specify that corporations are not allowed to make any expenditures to influence elections or ballot measures, with one exception. The one exception that's written into the bill as currently written would allow organizations that are specifically incorporated for the purpose of influencing elections to continue to be able to do that. I have reached out to the sponsor of that constitutional amendment, and it's scheduled to go before the House Judiciary Committee tomorrow. And I have been invited to be a testifier as an invited guest of the main sponsor. So we'll be giving testimony in support of that measure tomorrow. And there's probably not enough time to get that constitutional amendment passed through the legislature in the remaining time in this session. But it's a good step to start getting the issue in front of the legislators and in front of the public. And we can try again in the next legislative session to take it further than it's likely to get this time around. But it's an encouraging sign as far as I'm concerned. Pass.
As far as I'm concerned, too, that's fantastic. People in Alaska move fast. I love that. And we'll give everybody a chance to respond and to ask questions to others after everybody kind of gives a check-in. So Michael and then Jeff.
Yeah, I'm not a typical Move to Amender because I've sort of left the affiliate here in Columbus and I've been focusing on communications nationally. Greg, some months ago, attended a meeting in Washington, D.C. of other organizations that are sort of in the same movement. I don't know if you've seen his report, but what shocked me was after giving a presentation on Move to Amend, he commented that people came up to him and said, I've never heard of this. What is this? This is great. And that led me to understand that we are invisible because we don't have the money that comes in from many people, from many organizations. So I've concluded that we need to get, and we will get, I just don't know how yet, national spokespersons, national mouthpieces who have a podium to stand on and who people listen to, who understands what Move to Amend implies and what it could do. And I am convinced that when we get one, whether it's left or right, because either side could take this on. This is not political. It is apolitical. It is constitutional. It will start things moving along. I was very disappointed some months ago when I did a AI search, and I'll make this as short as I can because I got a lot I could say, but I did an AI search on our sponsors in Congress. I asked how many of these folks have used Move to Amend on their websites or in their presentations or in their social media since they've supported it. And their response came back only two. And that's Pramila she's got something on her website. And AOC, I guess, did an Instagram on Move to Amend, but nobody else has this on their websites or anywhere that I know of and that I've heard of. Maybe tell me I'm wrong, but that is incredible. And we have hundreds and many, many communities and organizations that have supported and are in favor of Move to Amend. How many of them, churches, how many of them are going beyond that simple signing of a document to say, guys, we got to do this. Country, we got to do this. And who could be our spokesperson? This is what blows my mind. You sent letters to all 500 and something thousand people who have signed the amendment or signed the petition, asking them who they know who could take this on. My understanding is we had a couple of people communicating and say, well, you should contact this person or that person. I don't know that anybody has come in and said, hey, this is the person who could be our spokesperson. You get one out there and it's going to multiply. But who's that one? Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. That's a question that we banter and volley all the time. We do know that Gretchen, who did directed the Barbie movie, as soon as they went into Barbie Land in the Supreme Court in Barbie Land, their corporation or their Supreme Court and Barbie Land in general, they do not believe that a corporation is a person and then its money is a form of free speech. So we do know it's permeating culture in that sense, but we are looking for a more public space. But again, it's not going to substitute for the grassroots movement building that we're doing, and and that is so important. But again, you're right, we don't have the money, and we're going to talk about a little bit more about that as we get in on the agenda. So I don't want to spend too much time on it. Jeff and then Ann, or no, yeah, Jeff and then Ann.
Okay. Despite my condition tonight, I just have to report that Minnesota has introduced its own corporate reset bill, and it had 2 hearings in the Minnesota Senate and House last week. I was able to attend both of them. It passed through the Elections Committee in the Senate and moves on to Judiciary for review. It did not pass. The houses where we're evenly divided, and they did not approve it to go on to another committee or to the clearing committee, rules and something for a floor vote. So it's not going to do anything this year, but we have a spectacular representative in the Minnesota House, Representative Emma Greenman. She's on our bill as well as having introduced this corporate reset bill, like the Montana Plan or the Transparent Election Initiative. And I think it's going to make progress, especially next biennium after the results of the election. Still keeping my fingers crossed for that. But it was really the hearing she had in the House was especially illuminating to look at the range of attitudes that came up and also how she presented that bill. I am going to put in the chat the link to that hearing when I can locate it again, because you may want to watch it, or at least watch parts of it. Not for my testimony, which was not quite on top, because I was improvising some things based on what other people were saying rather than what I had submitted in writing. But it's how she handles herself and how the Republicans respond is really interesting to that bill. So I'll dig it up and put it in the chat here while we're in the meeting. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jeff. And we'll make sure that we get it into the agenda so everybody can view that at their leisure. Ann?
Yeah, I wanted I'm with the Santa Clara County affiliate here in San Jose. And we had at our last meeting a group that Alfonso introduced us to that are from the Third Act in Southern California. So, I mean, California's a pretty big state here, and we work mostly in the north. So we've got five or six folks, 5 or 6 representatives who had co-sponsored in previous sessions, but we haven't been able to reach out to. Anyway, these guys, there were 3 of them that were on our meeting last week. So that was very exciting because we've been looking for new people for a long time. But and they all actually made some headway already. And we got Mike Levin to co-sponsor, and they're going to go after a couple other people down there. So that's been good new blood for us, that's for sure. And other than that, we've been tracking some of the other actions that have been going on. The Transparent Election Initiative is, I think it's coming to California. And so we're just keeping our eye on that and participating in the No Kings protest coming up in March 28th. So that's it. Pass.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm glad that Warburn, right? I'm glad that he's reached out and plugged in with, yeah. He's very eager to get started, and he, like many of us, recognize that this is the most important thing, and it gets to the roots of what's ailing this country in so many different ways.
Yes.
Jeff, you had another comment to make? Is your hand back up, or? I'm going to take silence for no, but if that's not the case, just come off mute and let me know. And we'll move on, but if anybody else has anything else they want to add, Sue, you want to chime in here? I was going to call on you in just a few minutes anyway, so go ahead.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I should speak up. I have questions for people who are talking about the Transparent Election Initiative, what form it's going to take and so forth in your state. I'm really interested. Locally in Montana, of course, we've been working closely with Jeff Mangan, the Commissioner on Political Practices, the former one, who's bringing the initiative here. And you all may know that it is now we have both a statutory initiative that would create a law and a constitutional initiative that would create a constitutional amendment in the Montana Constitution, of course. And the statutory one that would make a law has gotten approved to collect signatures. It's not the best wording on the ballot itself, but it was important to get going because we have a lot of hurdles still created by the legislature, and we got to get going on the signatures because we only have till June 14th, I think. So he's going ahead with that, and then the one that wasn't approved by so far, he's going to take it to the Supreme Court of Montana and try to get that one approved, but that'll be so far down the road and it needs more signatures, so we'll see. But in any case, we're trying to work closely with him, and I've been working on with a group that has been supportive of the resolutions in the legislature to call on Congress to pass the constitutional amendment. And I'm just really trying to strengthen them because, of course, I want to be able to pass this along. And so we're trying to bring more people into it, working on our 2 sponsors have asked us to get Republican sponsors. So we've been reaching out to people who did vote yes, who are Republicans. And we also are working on communications, editorials, and contacting Republicans, that kind of thing. So we've been pretty busy with all that. And so, yeah, and I think there'll be a little bit more coming up too. But I'm really excited to hear about that you're all tracking the Transparent Election Initiative, and you're in the state legislatures too. Thanks. Zach.
Thank you, Sue.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's later in the agenda, but I think it's cool to go ahead and pull it up if y'all don't mind, and move it up to the first announcement and reminders. So we have also been working with Jeff. Somebody in Florida reached out to us. Well, first she reached out to Tom Moore, who is the person that first wrote the language for the Montana plan, the TEI, Transparency Election Initiative. And he is with Center for American Progress. And when she reached out to him wanting to maybe introduce here in Florida, he put her in touch with Move to Amend. He said, this, they might be able to assist you on, starting with some kind of direction. So for folks that don't know, we believe at Move to Amend that this is an important stepping stone. And it's a great way to study and discuss the plans, and to connect and intersect with our allied organizations in your states, and anything that can challenge corporate rule, right? We're all about. And again, this can be an important stepping stone in a great way to organize. So she reached out to us. We met with them. We were having the conversation. We decided this might be a conversation that would be good to kind of take a little further. So we're going to have a meeting with the folks from Montana, Jeff and Liana, and then Sue has agreed to join us on that. And also Tom, who has agreed to, if anybody introduces it in the country, he'll help with the language. And Center for American Promise has, as he put it, has allowed him to focus only on this for the past year and a half, and will continue to do so as it gets traction. So he'll join us. We're going to have a conversation. Double check that date. Wait, actually, we should have. It's in the agenda under under the calendar invite, so you can RSVP for your space there, and talk about how, if you want to bring it into your state, or if you want to connect with others in your state. What Jeff told me is that he's having a hard time getting organizational endorsements, other organizations to want to support this. And I'm like, well, look at our website. I would start with introduce our organizational endorsers. They're not holding like some kind of turf mentality on this work. They want it to pass just like us. And as long as the intent's there, they support it. So we're going to be working closely with them nationally and in our local areas. We did create a petition to start seeing if there's some support out there. This particular we never share our contact information on this petition. If you sign it, we will share it with the organizers for TEI in your state. And that's clearly stated on the petition as well. But yeah, I think that the excitement and energy around this and the potential for to start blunting that corporate power statutorily in the states is something that, we introduced 4 statutory reforms last year, and we've added this one as the 5th one. One was 3 strikes, you're out, the charter revocation, which is something that's happening in Ohio, different things like that. This one obviously has more energy and the most energy, and is organizing. It's a great tool to organize around and to educate folks about what's happening. And it's getting some real traction. Like they said, Montana, Minneapolis, they move fast to. Alaska, Florida is now getting on board. Colorado, Hawaii has some stuff introduced. So it's moving. And again, apparently nobody else wants to join these folks on this. And we do, because we know what this could do. And the power that this can have in our organizing. So we'll be meeting with the people who are working, day to day on this, to learn what we can from them and to see how we can support that effort in our path towards the 29th amendment. Does anybody have any questions about that? Go ahead, Sue.
Well, I was just going to mention the position statement that Greg worked up right before he retired.
Yeah, it's linked in the agenda.
Oh, good.
As well as the petition and the calendar invite that we're going to do with you and Jeff and Leanna and Tom.
Oh.
And also Talia, which is the person that's trying to get it started here. young girl young woman who just graduated from college. She's like, I don't have anything to do right now. I'm not working, so might as well work on trying to save democracy. And she's really gung ho on doing that, and she's becoming a volunteer with Move to Amend in that process. Um, so just wanted to highlight that. That's number 3 under announcements and reminders. Um, so we'll be getting into this. This will be not the first round. I think it's May 13th is the date that we had scheduled to give plenty of time to get things in. Also, so that the legislative sessions will have slowed down a little bit, so that people can focus on what they're doing, and then so that it'll be a springboard going into the next session. The next thing on the announcements and reminders is the No Kings. We have our source code here. If y'all have already signed up for actions in your area and you didn't use this source code, please open up a private window, use this source code to sign up, so that we have like an accounting of what our folks are doing, and please share it out. So when we sign up for these kind of things, you can say, will you share your information? And we always click no. So this information and the sign up would only come to us at that point. And at the bottom of the website, the No Kings website, there's a bunch of free online trainings going on. So I went to one last night. I found it to be enhance my knowledge, or my standing knowledge already. It ended up being a 2-hour training. It's a great way to connect with people in the chat, to share up Move to Amend, and also to learn who else is in this. Any partnering. We're a national partner for No Kings. Here locally, we're a local partner as well. Our Northwest Florida Move to Amend. So, this is great opportunity to petition, to table, to speak, to raise up these issues are so aligned, right? What's happening right now, the authoritarian rise in our country, is so linked to this issue, that we have to be there, because what we see over and over and over again is that people are naming the problem. We have steps, we have solutions, right? We have a vision of where we want to be and how we can get there. And I think it's so important. And I think people are really, really hungry for this. Speaking of Greg and his retirement, he just sent me petitions to post. He got like 100 petitions at an action he did last week. That's Greg in retirement. So just saying, people are hungry for this information. They're hungry for the vision that we all share here, and it's needed right now more than ever. And I think this, even in that training last night, they talked about the ebb and flow of organizing, and ebb and flow of action, and we're definitely in that flow part right now, and we need to take advantage of this opportunity of these poly crises that are coming at us, because it is resonating. Just like Sue had mentioned, Pete Buttigieg, he is Mr. On Point talking points. I mean, he's super dim, well entrenched in the Democratic Party, but he's getting it and he's talking about it. Pramila Jayapal's sister, when she ran for office, I haven't heard anybody speak as eloquent. Well, I've heard a couple of people, but she speaks as eloquently about Move to Amend's work than anybody I had ever heard in elected office. AIPAC went after her and, stymied her chances of representing the people, unfortunately, but she got it too. So it's resonating. We just have to be really careful that people don't reduce it to ending Citizen United or turning over Citizens United, right? So I hope y'all all get out for the No Kings, and please share out this, inviting folks, sending out emails, use our source code so that we know what kind of energy we're getting through our efforts to bring people to that action. And again, we've been a partner with the No Kings actions for 1, 2, and now 3. And we'll continue to join together with people who are really wanting to make change. The next thing I wanted to highlight is Beautiful Trouble. I know we don't always like raise up other people's trainings so much, but why not, right? If they're doing the best trainings out there, then why not raise them up? And Beautiful Trouble, in my opinion, has the toolkit for creative revolution. They have been, they're at the top of their game. I first learned about them after during Occupy, and just love the kind of things that they put together. And right now they have a 2.5 hour training. It's for tomorrow. It's for artists and cultural workers. And we're all cultural workers, right? We're at a point where we have to change culture. That's where we're at. It's so important that we're changing culture at this point. And, from corporate culture to, real democracy and what that looks like and what that means. So I just wanted to raise that up. If anybody is interested in going, the registration is in the agenda. But it's a great way um, to bring me. Did I skip all the way over? Sorry, Alfonso. I'm going to leave it at that. If you have any questions on that, and we'll skip over to Alfonso, and then I'll finish the rest of this because I was just thinking about what we were missing here. So let me turn it over to you, Alfonso, and then we'll move back over to the
Don't worry.
remainder of the announcement.
Hi everyone. It's always nice. It's always a pleasure to be in this space with all of you. And yeah, over the past month, we have continued advancing both our political and our movement education work. And one piece that we want to lift up is a recent article that was written by former Veteran for Peace president and someone I get to call a friend, Mike Ferner, someone who some of you might know. And the article was published in the Peace and Planet News, and it's titled "A Candid Letter to American Leftists and Progressives." And I would highly encourage you guys to check it out. It's a really reflective piece that challenges us to think more strategically about power, especially when it comes to corporate rule and how we continue to shape the terrain that we're organizing in. Even when we think that pushing back against it is, the way we are doing it has to be sustainable and definitely worth a read. So again, the link is in the agenda, and if you want to check it out. And then there is on the movement side, we are we just had well, not just, but last month we had the second installment of The Way Through, which is a series focused on identifying what we like, what we love, and what we care about, our core values, and how we can use that to strengthen our activism. The this month's meeting was rescheduled to the 30th. It was usually happening the second Monday of the month, but for this occasion, we had to push it to the end of the month. It's going to be on Monday, March the 30th, and it's going to be focusing on transforming emotions like grief, anger, and despair into action. And if you feel like you've been feeling overwhelmed or just overly concerned about everything going on, rightly so, right? This session is especially designed to help you cope with that and actually turn it into action, something that will make you feel better long term and will be sustainable. And in case you missed the first couple sessions, the recordings are available on our YouTube channel. But just an FYI, this is like a standalone series. You can watch the recordings, so just join this one and you would be perfectly fine. So those are the only two things that we went over, but I'm happy to answer any questions about those. If not, we can go back to the other announcements that Jenny was covering.
Thank you for that, Alfonso. And just a reminder, Mike Ferner was he was co-chair of the Labor Caucus for many years, and then moved over to be president in Veterans for Peace. And they have adopted the We the People Amendment as part of their strategic goals. I don't see her on here now, but we do have other organizations that are starting to do that. And I met with Northern Colorado Alliance for a Livable Planet last Friday, and they are looking to do the same thing. They're going to the board with that. So, incremental, but it's a slight shift in how we used to do it, where people would just endorse and then, like Mike said, just go off in the nether sphere doing what they're doing. Now we're asking them, make this part of your strategic plans too. Make this part of your goals and your mission. And it seems to be resonating with folks. Again, people want solutions, and we have it here. So we're not an island. And sorry for skipping over all that. And of course, the way through, we care deeply about every one of y'all and everyone in our movement, and we want. So that's why the self-care module is so important in our movement education program, and the reason why Greg wanted to finish this before he left, and Tara and Jason had worked so hard on it, because they, the most important thing in this movement is the people. So I'm going to move on to the rest of these announcements and reminders real quick. The movement education program, that's a radical education, right? That's where we learn the history of past movements, any pitfalls, so that we don't repeat the mistakes of the past. We learn from them, and also what they did right, how they were able to get change to happen in this country. So it's really a great educational piece. And again, the way through from overwhelm, burnout, despair, and anger into effective action is the newest module of that movement education program collection. Also, we always have and always want your feedback. We still have this survey here. If you're interested in ever giving that type of feedback, please share. Really important, you are the backbone of this work, and how y'all want to move forward is the directions that we take. So it's really important. Also, we have that Zoom line. I know you could get a free Zoom line, but then they cut you off at 45 minutes. If you know you're going to have a call that's a little longer, please reach out if you don't already have the contact information. Always check to make sure somebody doesn't have an existing call on there before you book your call. But once it's booked, then it's first come, first serve on that second in line. Also, we're always looking for input. What should the next trainings be focused on? We will be doing a pledge training coming up, and then Katie and Alfonso are going to lead us in a social media toolkit training. Those are the two things that are kind of on our near future radar. But any other suggestions that y'all have for trainings that you think would be valuable, please let us know. And then, of course, podcast recommendations. Mike's absolutely right. We have to be out there in the public sphere. We can't get into our own silos. So any podcast recommendations that you have, any suggestions, anything that you are passionate about listening to, chances are others are too. And that's where we want to be, to share what we're doing. And, just want to raise up the work Kevin's doing up there with his podcast. Any suggestions, of course, can come to info@movetoamend.org or the affiliate support. You can, for me, y'all, if you have a question, if y'all need something, you can reach out to us personally, or the affiliate_support email is the best, because, then you don't get lost in the quagmire of 30 emails a day. So just putting that out there. And any national coalitions that we should join or connect with, we are going to try to get in touch with Pete Buttigieg. And so those kind of suggestions are really important. Or reach out to him yourself. And if you secure, a speaking spot or anything further, let us know. We're happy to join you or give you all the tools and resources you need to be able to do it yourself. And I'm going to close that up. And I see we have a couple of hands here. I think Chuck's was up first, and then Deb, and then Raven.
Hey, thanks for that. Chuck Podgorski, I'm in Atlanta with Mark Harding. So if Deb, do you mind if I ask you a question about the update you gave? I think you said you reached out to 37 state Congress folks and heard back from 3. Would you be willing to share either the approach for how you did that, or a text or a script, or I don't know if you called and talked to policy people, or what your approach was to that? We don't have to do it now necessarily, but I'd like to connect with you at some point.
Sure. I've got a pen. Maybe I should just email you.
Okay.
Would that work? Or you want to drop it in the chat? And
I'll drop it in the chat. Also, if you don't mind, I cyberstalked you on Facebook. I don't know if you're on there very often. If I could add you as a friend, I might connect with you that
Sure.
way. Okay.
Sure.
Here's my email, though. And then, thank you, Deb. The other question I had is, you said podcasts we might participate in or share our messages through. Is that what you're talking about? And
any podcast you think we should be on that what they're discussing might align or would add some texture or depth to conversations that they're having. So yeah,
you guys have a way to connect with?
HVCKC.
Like I listen to Jon Stewart's all the time, and he just had Velshi on there last week talking about Montana and possibly California doing a state thing. He says like, there's 21 states that are doing similar movements, and they had a good 4-minute conversation about it. So I don't know how you get in touch with that. There are 2 producers that are listed, and I mean I'd be happy to try. But if you guys have skill at that or an approach,
yeah, try. Please
Okay.
do. Capacity is always probably our biggest, downfall. But yeah, and we would love to go on Jon Stewart. Are you kidding?
that'd be great.
Absolutely. That would be the kind of platform that could really be a game changer for the work we're doing.
And last week he said he was going to have he said we had a show about, and he named things that are related to money and politics, but he got superseded by their Iran invasion. So they switched topics. So I don't know if they'll go back to that, but I'll try. But,
Yeah, and this connects with the war in Iran, right?
yeah.
Just so clearly, we can always, no matter what the latest polycrisis, what latest crisis in the long string of polycrisis that we face, this fits and can impact that.
Awesome.
Deb, Raven, and then Katie,
Thanks.
unless you had something else. I'm sorry, Chuck.
That's it. Thanks.
Yeah, great to see you here.
Okay, so I'm up next. I was looking at the add your name now to demand real election integrity, support the election plan, and it says sign to show. So I'm looking at that page and I don't see any place to sign. So am I missing something?
Check it out. Alfonso?
Oh yeah, this is the landing page that we had designated. I will be dropping the link to the actual petition in the chat right now, and I'll correct the link there on the agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Wrong link. Thanks for flagging that for me and for us. And then it also links to the move to amend. We'll get that really tight before we have the call with Jeff and Tom and Liana as well. Thanks for that, Deb. Raven, then Katie.
Hi. Sorry, I'm on a new laptop and I've been trying to figure out some things, so that's why you couldn't see me earlier. Anyway, you may remember me from a few months back when I got in touch with Greg. I've been working with Move to Amend in 3 different states for about 15 years now, I guess, off and on. Anyway, Greg got me to communicate with my local chapter of 5051 that I've been working with for the last year now. And of course, we're one of the anchor organizations for No Kings 3 in Boston. And I'm going to be tabling for one of our campaigns called the Flock campaign. We're trying to get the Flock cameras out of our cities. Y'all understand what I mean when I say that? What the Flock campaign is about? Okay, Flock is the short version is that there are corporations that are selling cameras to our government and to ICE in particular, and giving them information on your vehicles. As you drive around, you are being filmed by Flock cameras. So, of course, we want to stop this and get these cameras out of our cities and our towns. So I'm going to be tabling for that campaign on No Kings, but it occurs to me that Mass 5051 has already signed on as a co-signer for Move to Amend. So I think it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to ask them to let us use some table space to get the Move to Amend message out there. What I would like to use as a carrot, if you think that it's possible, is the webinar that you guys put out about not wearing yourself out, if that helps. Not burning yourself out. If Mass 5051 could have access to that webinar as a loaner, I don't know how else. I'm not sure if I'm making myself clear. That would be really good, because I know that a lot of people in Mass 5051, we like to call it MAFO for short, but a lot of people are burning out, and they could use a little coaching on how to take care of themselves. So if we could get access to that webinar, I'd be grateful. And I am also going to ask if we can get some of the Move to Amend information onto the MAFO tables at No Kings. Okay, that's all I have to say.
Fantastic. Yes, Raven. Short answer, absolutely. It's open to the public. Our movement education program used to be more for just Move to Amend, but now we host it on the Radical Guide, and it's open to the public. We have the webinar. It's a 6-part series. It's better to work through it yourselves. It's linked in the agenda, but let me drop it here in the chat for you too. You could just sign up and start for free and go through the module at your own pace. But yeah, it's so important to care for the people in the movement. And, folks tend to hit movement burnout around 3 to 5 years. And they don't start with the self-care part of learning until they get to like 7 years. So it's really important that this be part of their early education in movement building. And so yeah, I think there it is. It's wonderful. Let us know if you need any help with any of that, but it's free and open for the public to use at your leisure. Katie, and then Ann.
I just wanted to go back to what Chuck was saying about reaching out to Jon Stewart. Of course, we've sent him emails and requested meetings. I suggest that we all start contacting him on social media. I've got a bunch of memes that we could just post in the comments. And I do know that there's a 20-minute session right before his show that he takes questions from the audience. So it's on my bucket list to make it to one of his shows. But I'm here in Pensacola. Maybe we should reach out to some of our New York people and get them to get a ticket and raise up especially since it's a hot topic that he's talking about right now. And I started a toolbox organizing for our toolbox that we're going to put on the website. It's not complete. I am going to share it. Keep in mind, it's not complete. I put it in chat just in case you want to access a meme or something. You can do it from there. It's a big work in progress. I've made 400 memes since September And so I want to get it all organized. So if there's a climate issue, you can drop it in there. Of
Is there
course,
a way to
we'll work.
contact you? Do we have your, what's the best way to contact you if I want to coordinate the John Stewart thing?
Well, you can contact any of us. It's Katie at movetoamend.org. It's all of our first names at movetoamend.org. But like I said, I think we should
Keep
go
it
back
as
to our
simple as
affiliates
possible.
and just encourage them all, since we are going to try to reach out to him, to have everyone that we know comment in this thing, because that's the only way we're going to get noticed. They get so many comments. So eh, good luck. I think that's a good strategy, though.
I do too. Thank you, Katie. Yeah, she's putting that together, and we're gonna have. It's gonna be so tight that people will be able to just go in and grab what they need, and really like expand their social media presence too, without having to spend like, what's the best way to answer this? Oh, I think it's already been done for me. So, Anne, how are you?
Can I just say one more thing? I was inspired to do this because I do see a lot of people putting move to him in language in comments, but lots of times I'll just put move to him in and refer them back to the Facebook page. We need to be a little bit more engaging than that. Lawrence is great at it, by the way.
Let's see. And he's on message. He's been on message for a good solid 7 years. I always reference Lawrence. You want to know how to stay on message? He should have been a politician. He's so on message. How are you doing, Ann?
I'm good. I'm sorry, I may be a little off topic here, but at some point I'd like to hear some about. It looks like the website's been changed substantially, and I cannot find the calendar for the affiliate meetings. So I just wonder where that went at some point. Maybe not right now, but can you?
Yeah. We could check that out right now. It might have only been for a couple of months, so it may need to have been duplicated further. So I'll check into that, and I'll make sure that it gets posted.
Thank you.
It may have just
Did it just
ran
get
out of
changed
its
recently?
sequence.
Or was the website just changed recently?
The website hasn't been changed. It just the events are still there.
Okay.
It's just probably the Santa Clara meeting is probably off, or Florida or the California meeting. I mean, so I'll find it and duplicate it and make sure that it's still ongoing on the thing.
Okay.
It's probably the series, like 6 months of it went up, and then after that it wasn't renewed. So I'll check into that and get that set back up for you. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Katie, is your hand back up or? Okay. Moving on to the next portion of the agenda. Let's see. Where are we at? Campaign news. Alfonso, I'm turning it back over to you.
Yes, thank you, Janie. So yeah, on the campaign front, the We the People Amendment now has 71 co-sponsors in the House, with the new addition of Representative Mike Levine from California. So shout out to Ann and all the Santa Clara folks that made this happen. This is people power in action, transitioning into actual political traction and movement. And so right now, this time, we want to be very intentional about where we go next, which is why we are prioritizing trying to introduce or finding a lead sponsor to introduce amendment in the Senate. Sorry. But this is going to take some effort from the national and also the state affiliate groups. So if you think that one of your senators or both of your senators may be a good fit, we have a one-click campaign, one-click politics campaign that you can use to help you amplify the pressure and make it easier for you. All you have to do is click the link on the agenda, input your zip code, phone number, and just address so that they can find the right senator of your state, and then you will get patched through to their office, and you can try to raise that up with them, asking them to introduce the amendment and become the We the People champion that we want. And yeah, it's a really neat tool that you can always use and share. Super easy to share. All you have to do is share that link, and anybody will be able to across the country to find the senator and reach out to them. So we are also continuing to push the Pledge to Amend campaign, which includes following up with candidates, whether they won or lost their primary. You want to follow up with them and try to establish a relationship, because odds are that they're gonna run again, even if they lose this election. They may want to try again next session or whatever. And it's always good to have those connections and nourish those. And if you want to check out the list, in case that you don't know if there's a candidate that you like or support, you can go to our 2025-2026 pledge page, which is now live, and you can see if your favorite candidate's already a pledge taker, or if you need to go after them, which is always cool to know, just to be aware of where candidates stand. And yeah, any questions on any of those two items?
I do.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Ann.
Yeah, so we were working with Schiff in California. Schiff had co-sponsored as a representative, and then we were trying to get him to work on sponsoring a Senate bill, but then he sponsored his own bill, which
Yeah.
I'm trying to find, but I don't know where it is. Anyway, I'm just wondering how should we just decided to drop him. Is there something else we should be doing to either support his bill or keep him in the loop? I don't know.
It's a great question. I guess you as a constituent can always reach out to them, ask them to explain why they think that their bill might be a better fit, and then we can raise up. Because what I remember from his bill, if I'm not mistaken, is that they're not addressing the corporate personhood rights issue. They're just addressing the money in politics. So maybe you as a constituent might have a more leeway to ask him and push a little back on the whys. But yeah, I wouldn't discard him just because I believe he sits in the judiciary, which is a really good place for the amendment to be introduced. But yeah, I know it's a little bit frustrating, but I wouldn't just give up right away. Maybe try to set up a meeting, and we would be more than happy to join in on that if it does happen. To just go over the specifics and details, and maybe we can come to an agreement or something that can work for both of us, for both of them.
Okay. Thank you.
Mark Stack.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, and I have known, and I think everybody probably on the team has known of representatives who have signed numerous bills that are overlapping, like the one from Adam Schiff. His covers parts of ours, but it doesn't cover all of them. And I wouldn't hesitate to keep pursuing Adam Schiff or any representative. I mean, I know representatives who have signed on to bills that were like from American Promise, Move to Amend, Adam Schiff. I mean, just because it doesn't necessarily mean that if they sign on to this, they see it as competition. It doesn't necessarily translate to that. So I wouldn't see it as being necessarily competitive. And so for that reason, I would encourage you to keep pursuing Adam Schiff. Thanks. That's all. Pat.
Absolutely. He's your representative, and you want him to support this because it doesn't have the loopholes. It's not smoke and mirrors, I'm not sure what his bill is right now, but you had mentioned American Promise. And, I don't know if anybody knows this, but we're going to try to put together something that's like using the words of a former American Promise employee, buyers beware. They have been collaborating with the Sutherland Institute, for example, for their language. And Sutherland Institute collaborated with Citizens United to get the test case pushed forward. It's a right-wing think tank. So there's, not all bills are the same. And if we're going to go through the trouble of amending the Constitution, then we really want it to be as foolproof as possible. And I wanted to, and I see you, Katie. I wanted to also add this. We heard from Kenny, our representative in Pramila Jayapal's office today. And so in the past, we've had like legislative briefings, and most of y'all should be very familiar with those. Well, they're not really very well attended, right? So we go through all this trouble of getting this going, and then they're not attended very well. So Kenny came up with this idea and had this thought that maybe there were so many solutions to the Citizens United problem that legislators just didn't have the time or energy and don't know what the best route would be. So we're going to have a town hall style debate with the other offices, Scanlon and Neguse, who would be co-hosts for this, and we could go and make our case to the legislators with those other bills in as examples. And I want to show you this. I'm probably going to get in trouble for this. Jeff, don't get me in trouble. So this is not out yet, but this is something that that Minnesota was using, and they were going to introduce both like the For the Freedom Amendment. American Promise had essentially hijacked their rep who was introducing the bill to just introduce for them for our Freedom Amendment. So Minnesota, being Minnesota, came up with this beautiful plan to mail these in, to show and highlight the differences between the We the People Amendment and the For Our Freedom Amendment. You see that? And then has on the back, ways to connect. We're looking to maybe do something similar to this before we have our virtual town hall with representatives, so that they could have something in their hands. But isn't that adorable? Half your cup, half full, half empty. I just absolutely love it. So just wanted to share that with you. We have some ways that we want to highlight the differences, and to say, not all strategies are the same. In Citizens United, they're not even looking for an amendment, right? Maybe not at this point. They're a super PAC that supports legislators who say they want to end Citizens United. So, kind of highlighting the differences of these different ways. And these are big money. I mean, American Promise, they're paying $1 million almost for their top 3 people. One person makes more money than all of us combined. That's the kind of money we're up against in what they're doing. So we've never been great at fundraising other than at the grassroots level. We don't accept corporate money. We don't accept federal money. And that's kind of like one of our red lines that we don't cross. And that's going to make it make the work a little more difficult, but at the same time we get to hold on to our political voice and integrity. Katie, and then Mark.
Well, I was going to bring up the congressional briefing hearing. I'm really excited about that. I think that's going to be a game changer. I'm surprised if they even show up, honestly. But as Jenny was saying about American Promise, they are big money, and they are reaching out to a lot of, I know we're nonpartisan, but a lot of right-wing organizations that are going to use their bill for not very good purposes. And I have been seeing it on social media. I knew that was happening. So that meeting with the woman from American Promise was really fantastic, and she's already been in DC talking to reps that she had talked to about For Our Freedom and telling them about Move to Amend. So I'm excited we finally heard back from Kenny, and I like it. I was just going to bring that up, but Jenny did it better than I could have anyway.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize that's what you were.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's really important. And Stena, the person, she's coming on as a Move to Amend supporter, as a volunteer and stuff, and probably will come into the law and research department. But she, as she calls it, it's been her mea culpa. She realizes the damage that she may have done by supporting this smoke and mirrors or Trojan horse uh, amendment for so long, and recognizes how important it is that it be as airtight as possible. And she had actually met Greg at that event, Michael, the Money Out of Politics event in DC, and has been working really hard to
And when we talk
yes,
about
it's
big
well
money,
intentioned and an important first step. Absolutely. We're not, there are different strategies. People have different strategies about going against, but this is why we feel like ours is the strongest. And you know, and we're not even like, oh, it's ours, nobody else can work on it. We're saying, hey, if you agree with this, help us get this passed. It's not, we're not siloing our work. Please join us in making this happen. Mark and then Katie again.
Yes, I just had a quick aside comment, and it basically is parroting what you were all alluding to. And I think, Jenny, you were mentioning somewhat directly that if I were a corporation or if I were a consortium of corporations, a super PAC or whatever, and I saw that there was going to be an amendment coming down the pike and I was not going to be able to stop it, I would be doing everything in my power to go for the watered down amendment and put my weight behind that. And so that's why I think it's important to get out in front and make sure that education is done to where people understand there's a difference between our amendment and all of those that are just chasing money. And with that, I'll pass. Thanks.
Well said. Well
Or
said,
trying to
Mark.
limit
Katie?
money.
that is well
Right.
said, and that's exactly what is happening. And we do have to, I think, educate more about that particular may versus shall and how it could be, handing the regulation into the people that created this mess in the first place. So that's an important difference to make. And when we talk about big money, right now, their last $8 million was their budget. And I've heard that they've gotten a lot of money in lately, and it's going to be more like 20 million. So we definitely don't want that bill passed because then it will be like, well, we've done something. Well, no, we haven't done anything. So
Yeah, they've been hitting a lot of podcasts, a lot of different conversations, but Steve Bannon's The War Room was one of the most recent. And I'm going to leave that right there and turn it over to Katie for some fundraising, right on time fundraising updates.
and I have 3 5-year-olds here, so hopefully we won't get interrupted. Yep, and they started talking just now and running into the room. So sorry. Um, say hi. Okay, go play, honey. And Katie's on the thing. So fundraising, we have been working really hard to get our 990s done and way in advance. So DU is done. That's the one we used the C3 for fundraising, and that means our charity navigator, everything's going to look so much better to make fundraising as far as getting grants a lot easier. And we have spent the first part of the year doing grants and wait to hear what that turns out to be. We'll do a lot more once the 990s are into the like charity navigator reporting systems. Where was I? We got a grant today from our anonymous donor who has been funding us for the last few years, so 25,000, so that's good. And we are really working hard on getting our email list up. When Michael says about 230,000 petition signers, they're not always engaged. It's a very small percentage of them stay engaged. So again, whenever you get petition signers, try to make it so appealing that we want them part of the movement, not just a petition signer, because that's not going to cut it. We need people reading the emails, responding, being motivated to go in their communities, talking to their reps. And we've made a lot of traction. We've doubled our email list so far, and we're still continuing to do that. And that'll make a big difference with our grassroots fundraising. Also, the social media has been bringing in some donors just out of the blue. So we're giving it all we've got. And thank you for getting out there and get those petition signers, and we will do our best to keep them engaged. Anything? Oh, thank you calls. We do have still like 400 thank you calls from the end of the year. Um, we might be able to slim that down because a lot of them are, not just the first time. We want to target our first time donors first. But if anybody's interested in making thank you calls, that would be great. Just drop your name in the chat and I'll put it in the agenda. Because with Greg being gone and us picking up a little extra work with the email blast, everything, those are the last things, unfortunately, to get done. I'm going to work all weekend making phone calls. Um, and those are they're fun. People love to hear from you, and it lets them know that we really appreciate that they're keeping the lights on. So,
Yeah, that one-on-one person-to-person contact is so important in the work that we do because everything we do is grassroots, right? From the fundraising to the mobilizing to taking action to lobbying, anything in between. Our education, all of it's at the grassroots level. That's where our power is. And that being said, if you want to help with volunteer calls, again, these are so easy. Just thanking somebody. That's how quick it is. Sometimes you'll get somebody on the phone that wants to talk to you a little longer. And I have never been disappointed in one of those calls. They're just amazing people that are plugged in and support this work. I'll turn it back over to you, Alfonso, for Take Action.
just want to say thank you, Mark and Deb, for volunteering to do thank you calls. It really relieves a lot of pressure because I definitely want to get these done. Thank you.
Yep. Yep, thank you. And yeah, so in terms of actions that you can take, so like we were mentioning the petition, that's a very powerful tool that we can use whenever we go into a congressional office. It's always a great asset to have. A lot of petition signatures, a lot of constituents supporting this. So just in this month alone, we added 334 new petition signers, and that is without counting the 100 petition signers I think Greg got last week. So yeah, we're still making good progress towards that 600,000 goal. We're getting close, but there's still a few thousands more to go. So every time that you go out, whether it is at the new No Kings 3.0 March happening on the 28th, or any other local events that you might be attending to, there's multiple options that you can try to collect petitions, whether that is just the traditional way, printing out the signing sheet, or getting one of the QR codes, which you can print out to I believe it's A to a page, and you can get those also to be like stickers, and you can stick them anywhere you go. Generally, like libraries or uh, coffee shops, they will have like um, places where you can leave flyers and stuff. I've been doing that locally, and you can also try to do that. There is small flyers that you can also print out with more information. And if you want to get more personal and know how many signatures you're getting, there's a recruit ID that you can get. So that will keep a tally of how many people you are recruiting. And it's a really good way to know the impact that you're having in your community. Also, there is the endorsements. We are currently at 818 endorsements. And if you know of any progressive or any organizations in general that might be supportive of the work that we're doing, there is the document there in the page with more information on how you can approach organizations about getting them to endorse Move to Amend and the We the People Amendment. And then there is also the Pledge to Amend, which we already touched upon. The new page is already live. And in that page, you're going to find everything you need to approach and bird dog any candidates that you think may be a good fit for supporting the We the People Amendment. And then there is the meets, the movement education and empowerment talks, which are virtual or in person, but we haven't been doing in person lately. But we can try to see if that could work out. But those are spaces where we can come to your community to teach, to do educational outreach to the community and teach you how you can also do movement building and try to encourage your local, state, and even federal officials to take action. And then there is, of course, sorry, I lost my There you go. Sometimes it's hard to have two monitors. I just got a notification, a pop-up, and I lost my. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so the pledge to amend the resolutions. If you want to get a resolution passed in your community, you can click on the link right there that says current resolutions and initiatives. It's a worksheet that shows the over 700 communities across the US that have passed resolution urging the passage of the We the People Amendment. And there is also a language that you can use to introduce one in your community. And that is it for actions. But I would like to pause for a minute and see if there's any questions before we move on to the upcoming events. There's my Oh, here we go.
I know we're getting close to time. Maybe we can go through all of it and see if there's any questions. That way we're not.
Sounds good. All right. So on the upcoming events, as it has been mentioned before, the way through the third installment is going to be happening on Monday, March the 30th. The link there to RSVP is attached in the agenda. We're also planning to have an advocate and volunteer boarding call on April 22nd. So this is a great space if you have any new members in your affiliate that might benefit from this volunteer, either new or just have somebody in your life that you think might be a good volunteer, and this would be a great opportunity for them to come learn and then get engaged. There is also the Ecology Network call happening this Thursday. Yes, it's Thursday. So that is going to be no, this not this Thursday. Okay, yeah. April, thank you, Janie. I was like, oh, that's tonight. Um, so it's gonna be on April 17, and that's always a great space to come and join if you are part of any environmentalist groups. This is a space that we created that merges the climate catastrophe and the root cause, which is corporate constitutional rights having too much power and using and abusing the environment for their profits. So this is a great space to come and join the conversation as well as get involved in other groups and try to spread the word that way. Maybe that results in a organizational endorsement down the road. And as it's been mentioned, there is the Transparent Election Initiative Roundtable happening. That's going to be in May. And this is a really important space where you get to come here and learn about what's going on with this Montana plan and how you can try to replicate that in your state. And of course, the No Kings 3.0, which is happening on March 28th. And we are encouraging folks to join. But if you are planning on attending, please, like Jenny mentioned at the beginning, try to RSVP through our source code because that way we can keep the track of the engagement and everything that you guys are doing. Um, and also we're planning to do a pledge campaign training very soon. So please stay on the look for that. We're gonna be sharing details very soon. As soon as we have something concrete, you'll be the first to know. Did I miss anything? Nope, I think that's all. All right, questions? Yes, I see Deb and I see Mark raising your hand. Go ahead, Deb.
Regarding the roundtable for the Transparent Elective Initiative, I'm seeing two dates. One, May 13, which is on the website, and then another thing that says the 22nd. Okay, so okay, gotcha. Thank you. That's all.
Great catch.
Those
Yeah,
were the
thank
two
you.
dates, and we put the wrong one in here that we were
The tentative,
working towards.
yep.
And yeah, so we have it's going to be Wednesday, May 13th. And Kevin highlighting another. Is that this call, Kevin? The second Thursday is the I'm not sure what that's a reference to.
Mark,
The next call for this call? Okay. Well,
Mark, you had a question? I saw you raise your hand.
yeah, our monthly call is actually the 22nd. I see what you're saying. I don't know who was asleep when they wrote that, but it's been a long couple of days for me, I'll be honest with you. trying to get all these meetings scheduled and get on the board before this call so that we'd have all the information for you. At least we can do is put it in here correctly. Thank you for highlighting.
Thank you.
those.
That's good. Yep.
I'm not sure whose hand was up first.
I think Mark's.
I just wanted to say, I don't see the movie night on the 18th of April, but just letting people know that we are going to host a movie night for
We'll
the
be
movie.
sending out a lot of stuff out for that between now and then. But yeah, the American Oligarchy that Patrick did, and we're going to have a national movie night and view that together, and then try to turn that into engagement action. Mark?
Yes, I just have a quick comment, and that's I vote that for a future topic for the way forward, or whatever the name of the program is, and for our own agendas in general, is what you've been talking about, as alluding to, and that is translating our signatures into commitments. That's, I think, where we have been, I speak for myself, highly remiss. I have probably signed up. There are a lot that never made it to my name on Nation Builder, but probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 people. And I've got just a handful of people that have become just a little active, and then a couple that have become very active. But those percentages are just abysmal for me, and that's unsustainable. And it's also a little demoralizing, and I've got to improve how I follow up and all of those things that go into translating things into a greater commitment, whether we're talking about an endorsement organization getting committed the way that we've seen Veterans for Peace get committed, or whether we're talking about local organizations like our individual groups, which I'm a part of here in my community, getting them to move to amend a core element of their program, et cetera. So, and then getting individuals, following up with individuals, getting them invited, getting them brought into our teamwork. That's an area where we really need. I know I'm not alone in this. We need dramatic improvement in those skills. And with that, I pass. Thanks.
Excellent point. I have noted that, and yeah, we'll make sure that that gets on our training list. You've heard it from me before, but I'll say it again. Thank you all for everything you're doing. This work would not continue without you. We are making a difference, and I know that at times you're like wondering, is this changing? But then you'll hear Pete go and talk about talking point after talking point, right? That's translated into action. I brought up Gretchen, and I bring her up every so often because I think that's a pure example of culture change, and that when we're seeing it on the big screen, so we're resonating. When the anniversary of Citizens United came down, my sister's puppy's here, so we have 4. They're on spring break and down from Tennessee, and then it's just totally lost my train of thought, but I love y'all. If y'all need anything, we're here for you 100%. And I'm just honored to be on this journey with you. So with that, our next call is Tuesday, April 21st. It's the 4th Tuesday of every month. And I look forward to seeing you all then. And hopefully in between now and then, please take pictures at your No Kings action and send those in. It's just a golden opportunity. What we are facing right now, our current monarch, the Tea Party, we've sent out a little bit of information on that, but declaration, it after 250 years, it's time for a declaration of independence from corporate rule. And, that first Boston Tea Party, that was all about ending corporate power over people in this country. So it is the foundation of what our ideals aspire to be. So, Katie, did you have something
I just
else?
wanted
We're
to
way over
share,
time at
yeah,
this point.
real quick. I know. I just want to share that I was right before this call. I was in a town hall meeting with Representative Petronas, who's and I asked him the question because he was talking about removing a clause that protects big tech from liability. And I said, I love that idea. Are you going to support any corporate constitutional rights? Because in this legal framework, that's never going to happen. And they hung up on me. They won't do a live town hall meeting. I'm surprised that I gave him a false name before I got on there because I didn't want him to go to my social media and looking it up. So yeah, he was like, nope.
Yeah, I know Petronas personally. He owned a couple of restaurants in the town I
Right.
lived in. Anyway, yeah, I got that same. I got a text from him. I'm like, really? He's inviting me? Is that a good idea? Um, but yeah, I mean that's the way to do it. Well done, Katie. And appreciate you being there. And yeah, I see that you put in the arsonist. As we go out, I want to go ahead and share my screen. Y'all can close out anytime. I know we're way over, and but I want to share this video again. If you haven't seen it, it is linked in the call with or in the Peace and Planet. But I wanted to share.
Are all too familiar with war and the suffering it causes. That's why our members are in the streets with our Muslim brothers and sisters, occupying congressional offices and demanding this genocide stop now. The president of Veterans for Peace, a former Navy nurse, and I both worked in Navy hospitals trying to mend the broken pieces of humanity who came back from Vietnam, where our government killed over 2 million people. This madness continues because our government is run by madmen, arsonists, who set fires all over the globe. Fires that enrich their corporate masters at Boeing and Raytheon and General Dynamics. These corporate masters are the ones who actually govern us, who buy the elections, who write the legislation, who tell us what is good and what is bad.
We here in the streets do our best to put out the fires, but we just can't keep up with the arsonists. So while today we do the necessary firefighting, we also have to practice fire prevention, which means abolishing corporate power to govern, abolishing corporate free speech, abolishing equal protection and all the rights intended for people that corporations use to govern and plunder and kill for profit. Veterans for Peace is now learning fire prevention by working with the 300,000 members of Move to Amend who are leading the effort to abolish all constitutional rights for corporations, abolish the crazy rule that money equals speech, abolish Raytheon and Boeing and AIPAC lobbying and political contributions that We will throw out the madmen arsonists. We will govern ourselves. We will have a government that supports life and not death. Yeah. Front for your courage. Veterans for Peace is with you. Ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everyone. I'm gonna go play with my babies.